Wrenching it up, gonna wrench it up.
Welcome to Saturday's Wrench.
Holy crap, and welcome back to the program, guys. I'm really excited. Today, I'm gonna get into my first engine. Coming live from my bedroom. That's right, I am taking an engine apart in my bedroom. And that's cool because, well, I don't have a garage in the city. I'm not at my parents' place in the suburbs there, my other workshop. I decided to take the engine home to work on it. What I'm going to do today is remove, hopefully, the whole top end of this engine. I purchased a whole new cam chain tensioning mechanism, basically. It's called a KA slipper, and it's a whole new mechanism that adjusts the cam chain. So basically, I've ordered a new camshaft, new valve guides, and new valves to match and pair up with my 65.5 millimeter new pistons. So the cylinder heads need to get bored, honed, and everything, and then the valve guides needs to get cut, and also the cylinder head needs to get machined to fit the new KA slipper, the new cam chain tensioner. So this all needs to come apart. I'm not going to worry about the lower crankcase today, but I'm organized and I have my tools. I've got my schematics on the wall and I've got my manual, so I'm going to get into this engine here. So welcome to my room, and let's get this done. Now you can see that I've got my schematics on the wall here, and the reason I've done this is basically because it's going to help me learn all the names, the proper names for these parts. So just in case I have a problem with anything, I know exactly, what the name of that part is. I know the measurement, and I know basically it's visual for me while I'm working on this engine, just to look and see how basically everything's coming apart. So I just went online and got the Fichet part schematics from like a part source catalog, and just printed them out, and then I just I went over it with I just wrote in what the name was and the part number, and I just highlighted it so I could see it basically. So I just put the part number just in case I have a problem or anything's wrong. I don't have to keep going back to that website. I can just look at my notes here and just say, that part number 12200-812, whatever, is giving, I'm missing it, or it's worn out or something, so then I know right away that I need to, I know exactly what part it is I need to fix. We're going to get started with the cylinder heads, these 8 bolts on the top here. I'm going to work in a crisscross pattern just because I think that might be good practice, because that's usually how you do other parts. So I'm going to work in a crisscross pattern, loosening those a little at first, and then take them off fully. Here we go. So I'm just going to crack them a little bit at first. P.S. You sons of guns, I finally got myself a nice metric socket set, so you guys can stop barking at me. I got a beautiful set. They were on sale. They're Stanley's. I like them so far. They have this like quick release thing. Beautiful. Really good. So far so good. Black chrome. I really like them. There's that beautiful sound. And we'll have to check the torque on these, and I'll obviously get all these back in order. So just cracking these all, and we'll go back and loosen them all. Alright, so I've removed all the cylinder head cover bolts, and so this should just open up, and you're going to see the top of the camshaft and everything here, and the cam chain. So there we go, and it's looking pretty clean inside, actually. If you take a look, it looks pretty nice in there. just going to set this aside. Here are your rocker arms and your cam chain and your camshaft. So yeah, everything looks pretty nice. And I can't stress enough that when you're working on an engine, I mean, it's not super important right now, but because I'm dismantling this, but you want to be very careful when if you're reassembling this or just working on it, that you're working in a clean environment. You don't want anything getting in there, any debris or anything like that. So make sure you have a nice clean environment when you're taking this cover off. From here, there's basically a pin that runs from either side of where the points covers are, and there's a pin that runs in here that holds the rocker arms. So basically I've got to remove those to get those out. So we'll get onto that next. All right, so moving on. Basically next what I need to do is remove this whole cover here. These are your points, and these bolts here hold the rocker arm pins in place that are holding the rocker arms on top of the camshaft. So I need to get rid of these and then get rid of this whole the point and the whole mechanism here, so I can slide out the pins to get to the rocker arm and basically lift out the camshaft. Now there's 4 screws on either side that I need to take out so I can remove this whole thing. It really helps to have a magnetic screwdriver and pull these guys out because they're a little bit deep. But anyways, last one here, we'll get this points cover off. Just keep working at it. It'll eventually come out. I can hear it starting to go there. It fits really, really snug here, so just take your time. Okay, so it took a bit of doing, but I just basically kept tapping it on the back with the hammer, and this finally came out. That was a bit of a bitch to get out, but I mean, you can see that it's coming out full assembly. I need to get these screws out so I can take the point system out. I'll look at upgrading the ignition system later, probably to electronic ignition. Now that that points cover is out of the way, I can just slide out these rocker arm pins, and you can see those, and lift out the rocker arm here. Wear's not too bad. There's a little bit of pitting on the rocker arm here, but overall it looks pretty good to me. I'm just going to do the same for the other one. Slide out that rocker pin and then take out the rocker arm. Yeah, looks pretty good. Not terrible wear. I'm going to do the same thing for the other side and get this cover off and slide out the rocker arm pins for the other rocker arms, and we'll get this out, and then once that comes out we'll be able to loosen the cam chain and get the camshaft out. Also, another thing worth noting is that you'll want to remember exactly the position that each pin and rocker arm were in, and put them back exactly the same way, because basically the engine wears in a certain way, and if you switch them up and your rocker arms switch up and it's all of a sudden different, I don't imagine that it's going to be too good for your engine. So it's worn down naturally in the way that it was set up. So basically I'm just going to keep it the same way. So just going to place them on the side here in a way that I know exactly the position they came in. Alright, so I've taken off both side covers, removed the rocker arm pins on both sides, exhaust and intake, and now I've removed the rocker arms as well. So now what I need to do is get this cam chain out of the way. Next what I need to do is remove this cam chain tensioner. assembly here so that I can relieve some slack from my cam chain and get the camshaft off. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this now. Okay, so that's your cam chain tensioner, and I purchased a whole new system. So here you can see these rollers here. I'm not exactly sure if you can see how bright it is, but see these rollers? That's what is currently tensioning the cam chain, and I'm gonna replace those rollers. You can see how dull these. They're supposed to be a lot more riveted, and you can see how dull these get after time. They're just plastic bits. Sometimes they break apart. I'm glad this one isn't. There should be another roller in there, so when I take the cylinder head off, I'll be able to tell. I'll be able to look at it. But in these old bikes, these can break apart and cause havoc in your engine. So they came up with a new system called a slipper, and basically what it does is like a Teflon slide for the cam chain, and it's a much better design. So we're gonna replace that. So now that the chain should be nice and loose at the top here, so we could go ahead and get that cam chain off. Okay, so basically what I need to do here is I've rotated the engine around so that it reveals one of these sprocket retaining bolts. So this sprocket, the camshaft sprocket, they have two retaining bolts on the camshaft. So you need to just turn the engine enough that it reveals this bolt here on the side, and then you can loosen it. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen that one, and then remove it, and then flip it around, rotate the engine again to reveal the other one, and then remove that. So I'm going to do that now. Fortunately, I need to get the camera out of the way for this, so as soon as I get that done, I'll be back. So now that I've already gone ahead and done the lower one, then in the manual says to turn the camshaft until you see the L mark. So so you can see these little bolts here. There's one on each side. This is the second one. I've already rotated the engine so that it's that I'm seeing the L on the camshaft here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and trying to slide this camshaft through, and it says to do it on the right side of the engine. Which I'm assuming looking front is this side. So that's the front, and basically want to slide it through. Takes a little bit of time, but it's a little tricky, but it'll come eventually. You just have to line it up and get it through these, get the lobes through the center of the camshaft sprocket here. Something's holding it up. This is gonna be really fun to get back together. Okay, sorry about that. So it's a little tricky to get out, but you just have to rotate it until you can get it out, and there you can see the camshaft. There are a couple metal shims on the side, so the little washers, so make sure you don't lose those. And now I'm just going to make sure this doesn't fall through. So we've got a screwdriver here. I'll place there. So you could see the cam case here, and just some debris on the bottom here from when I was hammering out the side covers. So I got my screwdriver here. That's not going anywhere. The next thing I want to do is remove this cam case. So there are four screws here, here, and here. And so once I get those loose, I should be able to I might have to hit it with a mallet a little bit to loosen it, but I should be able to lift this whole thing off. So we'll get that next. Okay, just removing the last one here, and keep this together. Now, yeah, looks like it's coming off pretty easily. So what I'm going to do is set aside the bolts here, and I'm going to make sure that this sprocket, this cam sprocket, doesn't fall through. So yeah, just do your best, and you can see that that's coming right off. So there's some oil in here. I'm just gonna keep this aside, and now, and again, your cam chain. Actually, you know what? We're gonna go ahead and try and remove this cam sprocket from this chain here. There we go. So there's your cam sprocket. That came off pretty easily. You want to keep your cam chain nice and tight, and just gonna put a screwdriver in there for now to save that. Just gonna get a new pair of gloves on. Those are getting pretty nasty, but you can see the valves and the valve springs and the valve keepers here. I don't have a tool to remove these, so we'll keep them on the cylinder for now. Right now I just have a screwdriver holding the cam chain in place so it doesn't fall through, and we'll just keep moving on to remove these cylinder heads. Now that our cam base is gone, I'm gonna just remove the spark plugs from either side. I've already gone ahead and loosened those, so I should just turn right out here. There we go. We'll get those out of the way, and then there's two bolts here right in the bay, in the spark plug bays here. So I'm just gonna, they look to be like 10 millimeters, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get those off. There you go. So there's your cylinder head bolts. Okay, so I'm just gonna try and keep my things organized here as much as you can. I got the bolts, the screws in there with the cam base, and I'll set that aside. I got the two cylinder head bolts. Put those aside for now, and this one might be a little tricky. So in the manual it's saying that you might need to knock it a bit with the rubber mallet. So I have my little dead blow rubber mallet here. I'm just gonna give it a couple taps around the outside, and hopefully it'll start to come up. And a nice little tip from the manual, you can see that's starting to loosen up there. A nice little tip from the manual: you don't want to be smashing these cooling fins too much with a hammer. So that's why you want to make sure you have a nice rubber mallet. You don't want to be chipping or breaking any of these cooling fins. That would be pretty bad. So just try and lightly tap it just to get it a little loose, and we'll try and lift it off here. And just be careful. And again, you want to be conscious of your cam chain not to fall through. My pistons are being exposed. It looks cool. I might try and get the screwdriver underneath to catch the cam chain, or maybe I'll have another one here. I'm just going to switch camera angles for you here so you can see a little better. Alright, so we've lifted the cylinder head here. See, the cylinder head doesn't seem to want to be coming free from the cylinders here. There we go. There we go. So these are actually two different pieces. So I'm going to try and get the cylinder head off first, and then work on the cylinder. So there you go. So there's the That's the cylinder head. You can see the valves and the valve springs. And that's the cylinders there. And they're looking pretty good. I'll get you a top view in a sec here. As you saw before, nothing crazy to do here, just to lift this the cylinders off the crankcase basically. So this should slide right up. Now I've already got a screwdriver holding the cam chain over here, as you can see. So we're just gonna lift this bad boy right off. And that's beautiful. And this is what I need to send away to get machined. So you can see the cylinders. They look pretty good. And I need to get this machined. Now it's definitely important to note that you'll come across these dowels sitting in the cylinder heads and stuff. Be careful not to lose those. And take special note of those, and just make sure you don't lose any of that one. This one's missing, but it'll be on the bottom of the cylinder head. So we'll get that later. Now you can see the pistons. The pistons, they're looking, I mean, they have a lot of carbon buildup, but I'm going to be replacing these. So here's your roller system for your cam chain. And so you can see the two rollers here, and they're pretty beat up. That's that new system that I'm going to change to is going to replace these rollers. So I mean, that's not good. There's probably there might be bits of plastic in my engine here, which I definitely want to avoid. So it's kind of scary. Anyways, we got the stuff apart. That's great. I don't know how much further I'm going to take it today. I basically need to get those cylinder head and everything serviced. So that's going to take a few weeks to get done. So for now, I'm going to leave the engine like this. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to go track down all my dowel pins. And I see two on the bottom here. I'm just going to leave those there for now. And I'm going to go track down all my dowel pins and make sure they're all good. Alright guys, so here we go. I've gotten all the parts necessary apart here, laid out on the floor. Starting from over here, you have your cylinder head cover, the side covers. One's your points cover, one's your alternator. You have your cam chain tensioner cover there, and then your cylinders, and then your cam case, or your cam base, I guess it's called. Over here we have the cylinder head with the valves that house the valves and the springs, and then on the bottom here we have the camshaft with the rocker arms and the sprocket there. So everything is accounted for. Gone over the specs, and everything's here. So I think that's as far as I'm gonna take it today, guys. Other than that, I'm gonna have to get those valves out of the cylinder head there. So once I get those out, I'll be able to send my cylinder head and my cylinders over to the machinist to get everything fitted for the new parts that I want to put in. So again, what's happening is with the cylinders, they're getting bored out to fit 65.5 millimeter pistons. Then with the cylinder head, the valve guides are getting cut to fit new valve guides, because with the new pistons, I'm going to need to upgrade the valve springs and the valve guides. So that needs to be machined. So I have all those parts coming. I'm going to send these to Bortec, and they're going to take care of the machining for me. So I also ordered a new camshaft, a little higher performance camshaft that fits nicely with the new pistons. So they're all going to come together. I need to send Vortec also my cam core, and they're going to replace that with the upgraded hardened face camshaft. So I'm really excited to get this stuff apart, and just another step in the process. So this is great. So now I can move on with getting some new parts of the engine and getting it back together. Okay guys, just a real quick one here. I have decided to go ahead and take the valve springs out of the cylinder head. So I did some research online, and I found that this there is a tool for this basically that you can buy. It costs about 70 bucks, and I'm trying to avoid that right now. So this tool basically, it looks like a socket head like this, but it has like a magnet inside, and it's a lot bigger and stuff, but you basically put it over top of the valve, and then you just give it a good whack with the hammer, and what that does is it compresses the spring down, revealing the keepers inside here. These little keepers, as you can see, these little keepers right here, what they do is they basically keep the valve from extending over the spring here. They allow the spring basically to clasp onto the end of the valve here. So the magnet catches the keepers, allowing the spring to come free. So I'm not going to buy that tool. I just decided to kind of come up with my own thing here. So I bought this little extendable magnet thing. So I actually broke it, but that's okay. It was only $5. So what I'm going to do is I've already done one. You can see that I was just playing around and it did work. So I just wanted to show you guys. So I basically got a three-quarter socket here. And what you're going to do is just put these magnets are pretty strong. They can hold up to 8 pounds. So basically what you want to do is just put your magnet right in the middle of your valve spring there. Put your socket over top of that. Hold it really well. And I'm just going to hit it with the hammer here. And that's going to compress the spring, and the magnet should pick up the keepers. Well, let's see here. There we go. So there you go. So now you can see that the springs are coming out, and basically what we have here is that the magnet caught those little keepers. You can see how they're stuck onto the end of there, and so I just take them off, and then yeah, there you go. So I put all my parts aside there, and that seems to be working. Now you can see here, these are the valve guides. For some reason this one's not coming through the valve guide for some reason. I don't know if that's a bad thing or not, but you should be able to now, when I flip this over, I should be able to pull this valve through. And that would be your intake valve. It's a little bigger than your exhaust valve. So this is your intake, this is your intake, and that's your exhaust. And yeah, so now your valve can come out and you can get these serviced or measure them or whatever you need to do. This one, however, is giving me some problems. I don't know why it's not coming out, but it's alright. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other two, and then this cylinder head will be ready to ship off. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do the other two, and that's about it. So there you have it, guys. All my engine parts are stored away, basically all organized and ready for me to put back together when I get all the new parts. I've covered up the lower crankcase here so nothing gets inside the crankcase, no debris or anything. I don't know how long it's going to take for them to machine my cylinder heads and my cylinders, so I don't want to leave these exposed right now. But I have the cam chain out of the way, and I have the pistons covered up with a rag here, so hopefully nothing gets inside the crankcase. I did want to show you my forks though. I finally figured out how to get those apart, so I'll show you that. So I just wanted to show you how I got apart my forks here. some people were also having problems with this, and this is how I solved that. So basically, this is what it looks like when it comes. You'll see it'll poke out from the fork stanchion. It'll be like this, and you'll see this kind of setup. What I was doing before was that I was thinking that this and this were the same piece, when actually this is your top bolt and this is your lock nut. So what I was doing was I was taking the top bolt and I was trying to turn it on its own, and then holding the bottom of the stanchion here, and I was holding it and nothing was happening. Just the inner rod was turning, the damper rod was turning, and then I tried to turn this. I tried to get at this, and it was really hard to get this out of the way to get to it. Basically, all you have to do is just clamp this down. You can see that this lock nut, it's like shaped in a way that it has two flat ends on it. You can see there. So basically, you got to clamp this down with like needle nose pliers or something, and then just take a ratchet, or then just take a socket and just squeeze this part off without moving this part, and it just comes apart off of the lock nut. And then you can just twist this off, and then you'll be able to get your whole damper rod outside of the the tube, and you'll have your spring. And then you'll be able to measure these and see if you need to replace them. I haven't found anywhere that really does. I can't find any 350 springs anywhere. Basically, if you know anybody that sells progressive 350 springs, let me know. I was thinking about upgrading my front suspension to maybe swapping it out with a CB350 or something, but it's just too much work, and I already ordered my ram that's going to fit my 350 hub perfectly and all my spokes and everything. So I'm not too worried about it. I'm not going to be racing on any tracks with this thing, so I'm confident that with proper bracing, the suspension and the steering should be pretty good. So that's how I got apart my forks. I hope it helps you out. So that's going to wrap it up today. Thanks again for coming on this journey with me, guys. It's really awesome if you could hit the thumbs up button if you like what's going on with this series. It really helps the channel. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I still got a lot more stuff to do with this bike, so it's going to start getting really fun when we start putting it all back together. So yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying the videos, and thanks again for watching, and take it easy. Until next time.
Wrenching it up, gonna wrench it up, yeah. Wrench, wrench, wrenchity-roo, wrench, wrench, wrenchity-roo.